Now let's go ahead and work on the basic shape of our outfit. Now the type of outfit that I'm trying to go for is kind of similar to the Uncharted video game character. But of course I do want to have a little bit of my own style to this. I wanted the shirt to be more like something like this. So it's kind of tight fitting a little bit, and we're going to be able to see a little bit of his muscles, and it's going to be a thin cotton fabric, okay? And it's going to be one of those Henley shirts. This is a Henley shirt right there. Maybe I could make this area a little bit loose, but I do kind of want it to be somewhat form-fitting on the arm area and the chest area, as you can see there. And for the pants, I do want it to look like cargo pants, something similar to this with some pockets on there. Once again, guys, just go to google.com and download some references. I can't really give these to you, remember, because I don't have the rights to distribute them. So just go to Google or ArtStation, find some references. So you could see I have found some references where you could see some nice folds here. You could go to google.com and type in cargo pants. So you should be able to see some nice looking cargo pants like this. And I went to ArtStation, and one of my favorite artists here, Frank Zhang. Yeah, so he made the Naughty Dog Drake from Uncharted. And I want to use this because I do like this gun holster right here. So I'm going to use this as inspiration right there. And yeah, right there, you can see some inspiration of the type of gun holster that I want to go for. And I also have some close-up, a little bit more realistic, like a realistic photo, okay? Alright, so yeah, definitely find some photos. And the boots that I'm going to do is going to be like one of those Timberland boots like this that you see. I'm going to grab some more photos of boots later when it's time to do the boots and add more detail to the boots. But yeah, it's definitely going to be something like this, the boots that I'm going for. Yeah, like that. Something similar to that, okay? I think this is a little bit too thick for my taste. So yeah, more like something like this or like that would be fine. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do for the outfit. Okay, so to begin, we can go ahead and select our character, and I'm gonna go to sculpt mode. I have symmetry turned on, and I'm going to go ahead and just make a copy. I'm gonna mask out a certain part of the body and the lower body, and then I'm gonna mask that out, and then we're gonna extract it. Okay, so let's go to our lasso mask. I'm gonna bring down my brush size. Yeah, make sure you have symmetry turned on. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and mask this area out. Maybe a little lower up to here. Yeah, it's fine. And then we could extract that by going to mask, extract. This is very important. Make sure you turn off extract as solid and press OK. Just wait for a bit. All right, and it should have extracted a separate copy of that there. And we can go to our sculpt mode, and we're gonna bring this outward, right? So we gotta go to our mesh filter right here, and we could set the filter type to inflate, and then just click and drag to the right to bring it out like that. And I'm gonna bring it out some more, and I'm gonna go back to object mode, Shift H. So this is what we have so far, and we could go ahead and hit the tab key to go to edit mode, Shift Z, and then with our selection we could select the top part here, and there's gonna be holes here. So what we have to do is we're gonna have to actually go to edge. We're gonna have to fill up the hole. Go to edge, select the edges or the border area, and you could press F, so that will fill up the hole, and then Shift Z again. Make sure you Shift Z, that way it's selecting also from the front and back, okay? I'm gonna go and do this. Press F. Alright, so that really fills up the hole there. So now we gotta go back to sculpt mode, And if you Control R to remesh this, it will fuse everything together. If you smooth it, if I go to smoothing brush, crank up the smoothing, be able to smooth it like that. I think we could bring down the remesher value. That way we're able to smooth faster. So I'm gonna set this, we're gonna bring up the voxel size and so that we have less resolution to work with. I'm gonna set it to 0.08 and remesh that. Alright, so this is gonna be easier to smooth. I'm gonna smooth that out, So we don't want the muscles to show at all. So smoothing it, Control R. And I don't want this skin tone color, so we could go to material and we could create a brand new material. I'm gonna go ahead and call this one gray underscore matte. And of course, I'm gonna go ahead and change the color. I'm gonna change it to gray color. I'm gonna go to HEX and put Fs, just a bunch of Fs. Press enter, and then you could set it to more of a gray color. And we could copy that exact HEX code, and we could go to our base color here and paste that. Okay. Now we could go and go to sculpt mode here. Go ahead and make this thicker. Also here, I want it to be more of a, not so tight, but somewhat relaxed, the jeans, the cargo pants. It's not jeans, it's gonna be cargo pants. So I want it to be slightly relaxed and not tight at all. So and using the inflate brush, just inflate it slightly. Alright. Inflate that. Inflate it. Inflate. And to around, so set it like that. And I think I want to go ahead and see how it looks like with the body. I'm gonna show everything, Alt H. Okay, and I'm gonna go select the characters, pants here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and, I have to start naming these, but I'm gonna go ahead and name this right now. I'm gonna call it outfit underscore pants. And I think this might be still too big, so I'm gonna go to sculpt mode and look like I have that still masked out. I'm gonna press Alt M to unmask, use my grab brush, slightly just gotta push this in. There you go. Alright, and I think the thighs might be slightly too thick, so I'm gonna go and move it back. And go ahead and move it back like so. And maybe move it back, and this one. And maybe the butt don't have to be that big. I'm gonna go to sculpt mode and just pull this back in slightly. Alright, now I could go to my pants and go to sculpt mode again. I'm gonna go to inflate brush and then just go ahead and inflate it. That. Inflate. Inflate. Gonna go to draw sharp, carve this in. Gonna go to scrape and just gonna scrape this here. Smooth it. Smooth this. Inflate slightly. Control R to remesh. Okay, and I'm gonna go to the body again. And I think looking at this, the chest might be too large. So I'm definitely gonna have to do something about that. I'm gonna go to my sculpt mode. He has a big chest, but I don't want it to look like he has a press bump. So I'm gonna go ahead and slightly kind of move this down. And slightly down. Crank it up. Oh. Yeah, it's a bit too much, I think. Add down. And I'm gonna go and smooth it. And I think the back is way too curvy, too bulky. So I don't want him to look like Incredible Hulk. I don't want this to really stick out of the shirt at all. Alright. I'm looking from the chest area. Okay, maybe kind of, there you go. Alright, so I think it still has that volume, which is fine. That's fine, still has volume. Okay, now we could go ahead and we could do the basic shape of the shirt, okay? Let's go ahead and go to sculpt mode for this, okay? And let's go to our lasso mask. And we could mask out a part of our body here that we know the shirt is going to be covered. And I do want his Henley shirt to be rolled up like this. So I'm going to do is I'm going to just mask from here. So it's going to be past the elbow slightly, but not all the way through. Not all the way through here. Something like that. And mask this area out. I'm gonna go to object mode and I'm just isolating this. There you go. Shift H to isolate, back to scope mode. Alright, so I can see better here. I'm gonna go ahead and mask maybe up to here. So I'm gonna think about how long I want it to be. Yeah, it could be a little longer. Like that. If I need to make it longer, I could always use the grab brush to pull it down. But yeah, I think this will be a good start right there. Yeah, and I'm gonna go look at, yeah, I think this would be fine. You go to our mask extract, and turn off mask extract as solid and press OK. Alright, and then back to scope mode, and we have to inflate this, inflate it up. I'm gonna go to the mesh filter. I have inflate brush and I just crank it up. Okay, and I'm gonna go make sure in the material that I have my gray material selected. There you go. And let's go back to object mode, Shift H, and you can see that there's holes there. If you try to remesh this, let me show you what happens. If I go to scope mode and Control R to remesh this, you see how there's like a bunch of holes. So you want to make sure that you fill the hole before you remesh it. Right? So let's go to our object mode, hit the tab key to edit mode, Shift Z, and you go ahead and select this area, press F, and then we could go and select this area, press F. Okay, go ahead and go to our lasso, select the area here, and I could go select mirror, and I'm gonna set to extend. It doesn't extend it all the way through, so I have to do it manually. So I select here and select here and press F. So that fills up the hole. And we go to our scope mode. Now if we remesh this, there you go, everything is fine, and we could smooth it. I'm gonna go to remesh and crank this up to 0.08 so it's easier to smooth. We have a lower poly mesh. There you go. Looks like I still have something masked there. Alt-M to unmask that. Smooth this, smooth that, smooth everything, smooth all that. We don't want the muscles to show. Through the shirt, you're gonna see the forms. If the guy is like quite curvy, if you stick, then you're gonna see the curviness showing through the shirt, but we're not gonna see the individual muscles, so you need to just go ahead and smooth that out. Pull that out, pull this out. Alright, this out. Okay, and I gotta go ahead and show everything. I'm gonna go ahead and go to scope mode, go to inflate brush, and I'm gonna go and inflate this. I'm gonna bring down my inflate brush, inflate this out. Go. Smooth it. while we're here, I go ahead and just want to call this one, rename this one outfit underscore shirt. Okay, and looking at this here, I think his shoulder is a little too round, so I think I want to kind of tone down the roundness of his shoulder. So still, I feel like it's more of a Incredible Hulk type of body, the shoulder area here. So I am gonna go ahead and hide my shirt. I'm gonna go to sculpt mode, Alt M to unmask that. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of move this down and smooth it. Move it down. So the way it looks more like this, down, and then kind of round around this area. Okay, so instead of having it like Incredible Hulk like that, I just want it to look a little bit more natural. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and show that shirt. And I'm going to go ahead and go to sculpt mode. And of course, I'm going to bring down the shirt and smooth it. Go to inflate brush. Inflate this things up a bit. And of course, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and use my draw sharp. I think I could go ahead and carve this area in. I'm going to go to my draw brush and hold control and just push this area in. Using my draw, carve this in. So I think it would be nice to show just a little bit of his chest here. So go ahead and pull this up, bring that up, smooth this, and looking at the back here, I think this might be too thick. I'm gonna go to sculpt mode and kind of bring this down, and I'm gonna go to his neck. And I'm gonna bring this down like that. It was too bubbly, way too bubbly. Alright, so something like that would be great. Okay, and could go ahead and just add a few folds here and there for the Hanley shirt. So I think I'm gonna go to sculpt mode. You could also kind of bring this down slightly. Yep, slightly, and this is too curvy. I want a little loose, just a little bit loose around the torso area. All right, like that. All right, and I'm gonna go to my remesh. I'm gonna add a few folds here, and before I do that, I'm gonna bring down the voxel size so we have a little bit more polygons to work with. As we add more and more details, you're gonna slowly bring down the voxel size. 0.06. Remesh. Okay, and I'm gonna go test this out. I could use a bit more. 0.05 and remesh. All right, that's better. I'm gonna crank up my intensity. Go. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start adding some details here. It's gonna be thin folds. Smooth that out. Now for the kind of folds that I'm gonna put here on the sleeve where it's kind of rolled up, when it's rolled up, you're gonna see more of what you call the spiral folds. So when you have the shirt condensed and you roll it up, it's going to accumulate in a certain area and it will create some spiral folds such as you see here. Okay, so we got the cylindrical shape there, and then they see the spiral folds going, and this is what we're gonna try to go for. And you could see also there's a fold called zigzag folds. I would say that it's a combination of spiral folds and zigzag folds, what I see on this shirt right here. Okay, so we see a little bit of zigzagging going on here. Okay, and then at the area where it's gonna kind of crunched up around the area for the elbow where it goes to the lower part of the arm, this is start to become spiral folds. Okay, And for the pants area here, I do see a lot of zigzagging going on here. So if you could spot the letter Z here, those are zigzag folds, all right? And we're gonna do more of that when it comes to the cargo pants. All right, so go ahead and add a little bit more. I'm using the draw sharp brush. I'm holding control as I pull out the mesh, and I could also use the draw sharp. Without holding control, you're able to push in and carve in the clay, right? So I go in between. I use both. Okay, sometimes I hold control to push out the mesh like that, and then I push in the mesh, and then some areas where I hold control, push in the mesh. So this is how you're gonna create those spiral folds and zigzag folds going back and forth between pushing the clay in, carving it in, and then around the edges here we can hold control and push it out, carve it in, so on, carve it in. Now you don't want to do this, okay, because it's too repetitive. So what I like to do is I kind of like to do this here and then here. See, this by adding some variance here, it's not gonna look too similar, and by still thinking of the V shape and somewhat of a zigzag going on, you're able to create something that doesn't look like this. Okay, so that's not how the folds work. So add some variance to the folds and keep it thin because the fabric is very thin. You don't want thick folds. That's why I'm using the draw sharp brush. Trying to keep it thin as usual. And as I'm doing this, I'm also thinking of the letter Y. So I could hold control and do like some kind of letter Y like that. And then I could add a little bit of carve here, hold control. And then maybe here I could add another Y like that. And then right here, push this in, push that in, and push that out. And yeah, so really going around, going all around. Now as we get to the top, we're gonna see more of the zigzag folds. It's gonna be less and less accumulating. You're gonna see that these folds are gonna be more spread apart as we go to the top of the shirt area. Gonna be more spread out. So yeah, as you can see at the beginning, they're very close to each other, the folds very close to each other when they're rolled up the sleeve. And yes, it goes up. We're gonna see less of that crunching going on. Just gonna exaggerate more on the folds here. All right, and then we could add a little bit less folds going around this area. Less folds here and there. Less folds. Starting to have more zigzags, separated zigzags there. Gonna push this in. Push that in. Go. And then around this area, could deepen that out. Deepen that out on this area. Yeah, so looking at the back, I think for the back, we could go ahead and add a bit more folds here around this area. Is going to accumulate because we see that the arm here is being crunched up with the back, the side back here. So around this area, we're going to see some folds, more folds here. So I'm going to go hold control And just add a bit more folds here. Carve the clay in. That. And add some more here on this area, smooth it. And then looking at this part, I'm gonna go to my draw and pull that out. I'm gonna go to my remesh and I'm gonna bring this down to 0.04. We can use more geometry and remesh that. Smooth it. And yeah, definitely in this area here, so where the arm kind of meets up with the chest area, around the area is where we're going to add some folds. Yeah, very nice. So that around the area where it protrudes, like the chest area, we're gonna have less folds, and around the areas here where it's going to be a little baggy, we're gonna add more folds. So just like when a woman, if she has like if a woman has larger breasts, and then around that area of her shirt it becomes tight, right? And it's the same for the male, right? So you gotta think of that as you are doing the folds. You can't just add folds wherever. You gotta add them where they really need to go. Right? And push this in, smooth it. Get in. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and look at the back here. So I think at the back, good. Go ahead and pull this, smooth it. Gonna make this more hard, let me say there. And I think around the area where I start to do the back part, I like to turn up the symmetry and just add some more folds around this area. So around this area, this part of the shirt here, we're gonna have a fold called the drop fold. It's actually a mixture of diaper folds and drop folds here. What we are making diaper folds because we have 2 points of tension, and then we're gonna have this fold coming down where it gets a little baggy around this area. So we got this point of tension going, and then as it falls down, it gets a little loose around this area where we don't have much volume, and there's like a part of the back where it's curvy. So around here is going to be a mix of drop fold and diaper fold. Okay, and we're gonna comes down like this, comes down like this. You can see I have it turned off. I have the symmetry turned off, which is fine. And I think I could add a little bit of shape here so it's not so plain at the back. And around here maybe kind of gets a little crunched up because of the pants area. So a little bit of overlapping folds going here. And here at the back, it's the same thing here. So we have a drop fold going on here. A little bit of a drop fold. And a little bit of the diaper fold going where we have points of tension. Okay, so for this one, I also do like to add some asymmetrical forms for the fold here. Smooth it so it's not exactly the same. I think I'm gonna go bring down my intensity for the smoothing. Go back to my draw sharp, smooth it, and like this. That. And then around here we could add some folds and then kind of smooth out around the edges. We could smooth out around the edge area. Okay, and I think for this one we could have a little opening for his shirt. I think that would make it look really nice. So an opening, kind of like what we see around this area you see here. So I kind of like that style right there. So I'm going to do something like that. I think it adds more interest to the piece. So not everything's 100% symmetrical. And plus, I think we could show more of his anatomy, show a little bit of his body, which would be good. I'm going to go and push this in. You see how it looks like through the render. All right, I think we're in a pretty good spot here. In the next video, we are going to be moving on to adding some folds on the pants area. See you then.